Hey guys, so I wanted to jump on here and do a story that I got from a viewer. Now, this story is actually not new. This came out and it was an article in Essence magazine, a chick asking for advice for her interracial relationship. So this actually occurred back in 2013. Someone sent me the article. I wasn't going to read it, but then I decided to read it simply because it actually kind of reminds me of Crystalline Kerrison. Now, the thing of it is I'm not going to go on a personal attack of her because I don't believe, I'm really not big on attacking people who clearly have self-hate issues. That's why I don't, even when I point out the critiques of black men, I do my best to separate it from the overall collective black men versus the ones who just simply engaged in specific behaviors. And I have been very adamant about the psychology behind those actions. And so this story actually kind of reminds me of her, and it kind of validates why I said, and I do maintain, that black people are not emotionally equipped to date white people, and therefore they shouldn't. We would have been better off in a Jim Crow society where there is no interracial dating allowed. I believe that interracial dating has awakened a mindset in black people that is very detrimental to the black community while giving the white community all of the benefits from it. Because really, by and large, black people do not benefit on any substantial level from being in interracial relationships. It is a wholly one-way relationship where basically the suspected black phobic gets to live out their fetishes and their fantasies that involves sexually degrading a black person, and that black person gets to play house and convince themselves that in doing so that they are garnering acceptance in the white community and that racism is ceasing to exist. Now, clearly this is a fantasy because in reality this is not happening. I'm not going to read the entirety of this article, but I will leave it in the link in the description when I get a chance to. But this is a black woman. She's from Jamaica. She's married to at this point, a full-blown white supremacist. He's calling her nigger bitches while they have sex. So she wanted advice on it, and I'm going to skip the part of it where she's giving the introduction of it, but she said, we have the picture perfect fantasy life. He wines and dines me and we travel and shop the globe. Unlike all of the black men I dated in the past, my husband is generous, loyal, committed, and considerate. So let me stop right there because number one, if you look at a theme among the black people who are dating white people, and that can be man or woman, what I noticed is that usually their reasons are 100% superficial, number one. And number two, it has everything to do with what a black person is doing or not doing. If you as a black person was happy with your interracial relationship, that's fine. But I don't believe that you're going to happily sit in a relationship and compare that relationship to what a black man is or is not doing. You would just simply be happy in your interracial relationship. She's saying that unlike her black exes, he was generous and he wined and dined her. So she's basing this on the superficial money aspect of it, what they had to offer her. I don't know why she can't offer that to herself. Why are you looking for someone else to provide you with something that you can give to yourself? I'm not going to sell my soul and get degraded simply because someone gives me some material benefits that at the end of the day really does not matter. Now, she's saying that he's considerate, but it's like, if he was considerate, would he really be calling you nigger bitches? Wouldn't he be considering where that word and term came from? Wouldn't he be considering the fact that you don't like it? Wouldn't he be considering the fact that that is racist? He would be considering that if he was considerate. He isn't considerate. But again, as the role for a black person who likes to date interracial, their role is to defend what the white person does. That's what their role is. She's also saying, he courted me and I never have to pay for anything. He said I could quit my job and I did. He makes me feel like a woman. He makes you feel like a woman, but he's setting you up to treat you like a slave. And the first way that he has to do that is to have you give up everything, all of your resources, so that you are solely dependent on his resources, so that you won't leave. This is literally domestic violence 101. The first phase of that is being a financial abuser. That means you separate that person from their resources, because you already know that if a person is solely dependent on you, then they're less likely to leave you. Now, the reason why I mentioned Crystal and Karazin in this, because in her rant against black men, she mentioned, oh, I live in a 6-bedroom house that this white man provided. Okay, but the funny thing is, that's his house. And if he chooses to leave you, if you're not on the house, then you don't get the benefits of that house. Also, she is primarily a stay-at-home mom. So that means he has all of the financial power, and hers is very limited to what she's obtained on her own, which is probably not that much, because white people really aren't by and large going to support black people financially like that. While I do think she would be making some money off what she's doing, I don't think that she's making enough to where if he divorced her and took everything, she would be substantial. She would have a drastic change of living circumstances, and I think we both know that. I don't need to know the personal details of her relationship. I can learn a lot just by how she interacts and carries herself and what she does and what she says. So this lady goes on to say, I'm a little embarrassed to share our problem. The first time he let the N-word drop was doing sex on our honeymoon. So basically, again, he's living out his fetish. He wants to degrade a black woman while having sex with her. So basically, he wants to go back to plantation sex, where the white slave master could rape, defile, and demean black women, and that be fine. So now, because there's laws that says that that cannot take place, he simply set out to find a black woman that would allow him to do that. Because mind you, they met, and then within 6 months they were married. So she doesn't really know him. She's probably only marrying him because he's an investment banker, so he has a healthy income coming in. She wants to be wined and dined, so she's trading in these material things that have no value for her dignity and her self-esteem. And I suspect that Crystalline does that too, because if you're going to marry a man, a white man, who historically has always been oppressing your people, you're going to throw your family, your people that look like you under the bus, and not require this man to do anything to abolish the racist system that he benefits from, that is predicated on your oppression. Then you have to have some low self-esteem. And it's not just her that has the low self-esteem. Excuse me, I need to get this bug away from my window. It's not just her that acts in this way. Go away. I need these bugs. I can't stand these bugs. It's not just her that acts in these ways. It's the majority of black people, if not all black people who date interracially, which is, again, that's why I think that they're ill-equipped emotionally to deal with interracial dating. Sadly, this takes place in my family too. They are not excluded from them. There are some people who like to date known white supremacists, and they do defend their behavior. So sadly, that doesn't escape my family or bloodline. Most black people who date interracially, they are dating interracial because they have low self-esteem. The interracial dating does not give them low self-esteem. The person is simply preying on the fact that they have low self-esteem. Because rest assured that a suspected white supremacist can smell low self-esteem and the need for white acceptance on a black person as if it's a very cheap cologne, because you can always smell cheap perfumes more potently than you can the other ones. Other ones have a very soft, subtle scent. It's very lasting and it's very good. Cheap perfumes and colognes, they have a very strong smell that doesn't last that long. So if you're a white supremacist and you're looking for someone that you can get your thrills off of, you're going to go smell out a person that has a fragile sense of self, that is wallowing in low self-esteem, and has alienated themselves from their community. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, they can detect these people, and that's why they always end up striking right. They always end up striking gold in terms of what they want to accomplish, because they know how to find these people. Anyway,
new SMS from Rian.
See, this is my car doing all this stuff, and people want to text me. I should have turned it down. Anyway, so yeah, she goes on to say, when I reacted negatively, he explained that a black woman he dated in the past enjoyed being called racial slurs. See, so obviously this dude is seasoned in terms of detecting bed wenches and low self-esteem having black females, because if the last black woman allowed him to do it, she's going to allow him to too. So he's going for a certain type of black woman. He's looking for a specific type, and he's getting that type too. Another time he joked that he had purchased my freedom. He also speculated about whether his family could have owned mine because I have good hair. So clearly he's full-blown white supremacist at this point. He's not even suspected. He's not hiding it. He's full-blown. And I would suspect that he's said stuff about like this prior to her marrying him, because the thing of it is he's not going to just spring this on you once they're married. They're going to give you little clues and indications, because he wants to try to fill around and see if he can get away with that. Every black woman isn't going to tolerate that, so he's not going to just pop that out on her not knowing if she's going to tolerate it. He's going to give subtle clues, and I suspect that they all do this. They're going to give you subtle clues as to whether it's demeaning a black man or which I'm pretty sure he's done. But since she has an issue with black men, then she thinks that that's acceptable, not knowing that if he will talk badly about a black man and he knows that you cannot exist without the help of a black man, then he has no respect for you, because he wouldn't be doing that. And then she goes, he made jokes about my pubic hair. He called it my Negro bush and referred to himself as a nigger lover. He says that I've been overly sensitive because he loves me to death and should get a black pass for marrying him. No, he's basically saying, well, I married you because you're my fetish, and so now since I'm laying up with you, you should just simply tolerate me being racist, because you've done it before when I dropped you those subtle hints. You accepted it then, you didn't correct me, and so now I'm coming out full-blown black white supremacist. You marry me despite my prior instances of racism and racially degrading you, so now you shouldn't be complaining because we're married, and so now you need to tolerate it. I told him that I don't appreciate these comments, and he says that my black friends and family probably use the N-word all the time. He also asked why black people could use the word and he could not. Regardless to whether you're dating, married, or a friend with a white person, if they want to say nigger, they are racist. A non-racist white person would not want to say nigger. Black people do not call these people niggers. They call them niggas. They put a different connotation on it and a different meaning. So if he's wanting to call you a nigger, he wants to degrade you. He wants to degrade you. He wants to demean you. He wants to show that he's a white supremacist. He wants to wallow in his white supremacy. And again, just because a white man marries you means nothing. He's simply marrying his fetish. His fetish is that he wants to sexually degrade a black woman. He wants to have slave plantation sex. That's what he wants to do. So he's marrying you because he feels like that gives him a legal right and a legal pass to do so. It doesn't have anything to do with love. I do not use the word or believe in the nigger differentiation, nor does my family. But you believe in your white man saying it, obviously, because you're staying with him. I am too embarrassed to tell anybody about this because I know they might say that's what she gets for marrying a white man. Every time we try having sex again, the slurs fly. So clearly, this is the only reason why he married her. This is what turns him on sexually. He cannot be aroused sexually unless he is degrading her racially. And that's why I say you guys need to look at the mentality, because this is the mentality of a lot of black phobic people in society. This is why they do absolutely nothing about black suffering and racism, because they get off on it. They enjoy it. They can only get enjoyment from your suffering. If they are not doing anything to cause you to suffer or witnessing you suffering, then they're not happy. They don't want to deal with you. That's why they're supporting Crystal and Karazin and the crispy Koons, because they want to get the enjoyment out of hearing black people demeaned and degraded. That is the only reason why they're supporting you, because they do not support black people who uplift and empower the black community. She can sit there and say all day, every day that she's empowering black women. If they really felt like you were empowering black women, they would not be there. She said 40% of her fan base is black men. Those men probably are the same Crispy Koon followers. And the only reason why they want to go for Crispy Koon is because he tears down and demeans black women. women. The only reason why they support Crystal and Karazin is because she tears down and demean black people. You're attracting a group of, number one, black phobics, and number two, black people who have low self-esteem. Because if they did not have low self-esteem, they would not follow you. If they did not have low self-esteem, they would not subscribe to the Crispy Koon. If you were really empowering the black community, white people will not be supporting you, because they do not support people who empowers black people. They surely don't support me, but that's fine. I'm not looking for their support. Anyways, she said, every time we try having sex again, the slurs fly. Our sex life is pretty much over right now because I pretend to be asleep every time my sexy, handsome man wants to be with me. I feel completely turned off. I love my husband deeply, so please don't tell me to leave him, because that's not what I want to do. My husband was my first interracial relationship. Please tell me that racial slurs aren't normal between interracial couples. I would like to figure this out before we have kids, but I cannot afford to leave him and still maintain my lifestyle. So this is the problem with superficial people. She does not have any depth. And I'm going to tell you that because she keeps mentioning these material things. If she actually had a level of depth and wasn't so superficial and materialistic, she wouldn't be going through this. In any relationship, it's an exchange. You know, if you lack standards from a woman, then you're probably going to go gravitate toward the hood rat, because only a hood rat is going to not hold you to any expectations and have low standards. You're not going to get that out of a woman that you will be able to raise your children, you're going to have meaningful conversations with, and who you can have meet your family. Those are two completely different people. So what she's looking for, she's going to attract based off what she wants. She only cares about, and this seems to be what Crystal and Karazin only cares about too, materialistics, living in a certain house, being wined and dined, being flied over the country. But what is the cost of that? The cost of that is her laying up with a white supremacist who wants to sexually degrade her, and if he's not able to sexually degrade her, then he's not interested in it. He wants to have sex with her because he gets off on calling her racially degrading names. If he cannot do that, he's not interested in it. That is why he married her. What a lot of black people don't understand is that laying up with someone that is white does not mean that they are not racist. Again, they marry their sexual fetishes all the time. Just because they want to have plantation sex with you does not mean that they love you. Just because they make you a house slave and prop you up in a nice house does not mean they love you. It means that there was a difference between the field slave and the house slave. You are just a house slave, nothing more, nothing less. He's going to pop in, he's going to have sexually degrading plantation sex with you, and then he's going to keep being a white supremacist. White people, literally, by and large, have no vested interest in ending racism. They don't. They have no vested interest in it. If they did, there wouldn't be any racism. Do you really think that the majority of white people in America have a vested interest in ending racism? They don't support it, they don't like it, but it's still going on. If you think that, you are sadly mistaken. They know that they have nothing to gain and a whole bunch of privilege to lose if they were to end racism. So why would they help you do that? They don't want to help you do that. They're not going to. That's why they can lay up with you all day, every day, still see black people getting shot and killed in the street and still not care. They can still holler all lives matter when really they don't even care about all lives matter. They just don't want you to talk about black lives. That's the only thing that they're telling you. But they're not going to do anything. Crystal and Karazin's husband isn't doing anything to end racism, despite the fact that he has a black wife and some half-black kids that society is going to see as full black. He doesn't care about that because he's not affected by racism. He doesn't have to go out and worry about getting racially profiled, and having black kids isn't going to change that. He's still going to be a white man in America. He's going to die a white man in America, so therefore he's going to have the privilege of a white man in America. And that's not going to stop just because he has sex with a black woman. He still doesn't have to share your problems. He doesn't share your pain. Just because you're affected by racism doesn't mean that he is. He can still lay up with you, have kids with you, and perpetuate white supremacy, as most white people can. So why in the hell would they change it? They wouldn't. They're not going to give up all that privilege for you, and you're a silly fool to think that they are. That's why I say these people are not equipped to deal with this. Because when they lay down with the white person knows I'm just living out my sexual fetish. The black person thinks, oh, this person really loves me, they care for me, they respect me, now they're going to fight for me. No, they're not. They're going to keep laying up with you, they're going to keep enjoying the benefits of it, and they're going to keep getting their white privilege too. Because until they are affected negatively by it, they don't care. They don't have any vested interest in it. They're not trying to lose that privilege, because really, if racism were to end, they're just going to lose a bunch of stuff. You would gain a lot, but they would lose a lot. They would lose all that privilege. And you are simply not worth them losing all that privilege. She isn't worth it. He isn't trying to be considerate like she thinks that he's being, because if he was considerate, they wouldn't even be having that conversation. He's simply saying, another person tolerated it, so you should. Give me a pass because I married you. My family fought for your freedom. Well, if your ancestors wouldn't have captivated them, put them in captivity to begin with, there would have been no freedom to have to fight for. Number one. And number two, no, your ancestors didn't. They fought to keep them in captivity. They lost, but they still fought them nonetheless to keep them in captivity. So those are two completely different things. And my problem is with people like Crystalline is that she's putting comments on my video saying that I don't know the full story. Listen, I don't need to know the full story. I can gauge the full story of your mindset based off you saying, number one, black men are only good for dick and swag. Number two, fuck black men. That's all I need to hear. That's all I need to know. Because if you really had a self-destructive level of self-hate, none of that would ever come out your mouth, because you would know, even if your kids are half black, a quarter black, 10% black, tan in any type of way, thinking about being black, society is going to see them as black. They're going to treat them just as if they're a full black person. When you sit there and degrade what they are, you're doing damage to them. You're not even thinking about that, because you're too wrapped up in your own self-loathing. You're too wrapped up in the fact that this white man has you on a nice plantation and is giving you all of these trinkets for being a bed wench and for laying down with him while he sexually degrades you and ignore your plight. You're too caught up in your low self-esteem and that materialism to even care about the effects of it. Literally, your movement is crumbling and you have people attacking you. You look out and see black people dying all day, every day, and if your white husband is doing nothing about that, he does not care. He doesn't care about that system that you're affected by, because he's not affected by it. That's the thing that people don't understand. They don't care. They're not affected by it. You are. That's your problem. And they will tell you that that's your problem because they have a callous, cold, desensitized perspective of you, and you laying up with them is not going to change that. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to get off here and get back to work. Let me know what you guys think. I'll later put the link in the description box, and you guys can tell me what you think about it, what you think about the story. But that's what I think about that. Thank you for the support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing and subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.